Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Abisola Olu-Ojo if you are new here. So I welcome you and I hope that you stay. If you are returning, hey fam, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I will be doing my second Australian culture shock video, but this will be based off my corporate workplace experience. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Okay guys, so I think a bit of a background story is necessary for anyone who is seeing me for the first time. I am Nigerian and I moved to Australia 5 years ago, and I have been in the corporate workplace for about 3 years. And back home in Nigeria, before moving here, I was in the corporate workspace on and off for about 2 years. So I think now is a good time for me to do my Australian culture shock video based on my experience in the corporate workplace. I have another Australian culture shock video which I recommend that you watch. I'll put the link somewhere here or somewhere in my description box. It's still my best performing video of all time, so please go check it out if you haven't seen that one yet. Okay, so before I get into the detail of my culture shock experiences, I just want to say that the impact of cultural differences on an employer is highly underestimated. It takes a lot to adjust to a new environment, especially in the workplace where you start dealing with very different people from different backgrounds, different perspectives to life, and it's a lot to adjust. And I think that the impact of those differences can be highly underestimated. And I also believe that employers from different backgrounds need to be very considerate of one another and need to be very understanding of the fact that we all have different perspectives to life generally. That's one thing that would definitely help you thrive as a person in your workplace. Just bearing in mind that we are different perspectives, different experiences, but yet beautiful in its own unique way. And that's why I like the fact that organizations are really embracing diversity now, and just bearing in mind that diverse perspectives can be a source of strength for any organization. So having said that, let me jump into my first culture shock experience. I wouldn't say it's a culture shock per se. I would just say that it is a cultural realization. I think that's a better way to put it. And that's the fact that here in Australia, experience is king, guys. Experience is king in the workplace. If you are looking to get a job really quickly or grow in your career, understanding that you need to pile up relevant experience in your resume is the way to go. Okay, I have had managers, in my time in the workplace that don't even have a degree from the university, don't even have an MBA or a master's or a PhD, yet they become team leaders, managers, directors, senior managers, and things like that, just based off the relevant experience that they bring to the table. Because think about it, experience is the practical tool that you need to apply in a role, so that's not to say that they don't also consider education, but I find that experience is king here in Australia. Back home in Nigeria, experience is equally as relevant, but they put more focus on your education. So if you want to pursue a particular career in Nigeria, say a senior role, you are looking at considering having a master's, having a PhD, or having an MBA if you want to really climb up that ladder in the workplace. So that's what I find to be a major realization for me here, that I need experience to grow in any field, or anybody who's looking to grow at all, you need relevant experience. And it could even include voluntary roles, honestly, as long as you can apply what you have done into a role you're looking to enter in. Yeah, so that's my first culture shock experience. Bear with me for looking down. I have my notes here so I don't forget anything I want to say. The next one will be hierarchies. Here in Australia, office hierarchies are flat, and I guess it will be that way in other first world countries. I know that things have evolved a bit more in Nigeria, but then that emphasis of power and authority is still there. The fact that I'm senior, you're junior is still very evident. Even if it's not spoken, it's still there. It's still there. But here, communication and engagement and mutual respect is the way in Australia. So between employers and employees, between managers and junior staff or entry-level staff, the same level of respect, the same level of engagement is what you see. There's a lot of, in fact, I used to see this in movies, but I experienced it first time when moving here. It wasn't a shock per se, but I'm like, oh, I'm actually experiencing this now. So calling your manager by their first name is a thing here, and it's not a big deal at all. I used to assume that there will be some kind of prefix before calling my manager, or maybe just use the surname and not the first name. So you can just say, hey John. I thought it would be, hey Mr. Maxwell, if that was his last name. You see what I mean? But here it's just, hey John, hey Shona, you know, whatever the person's first name is. But I thought that just to show that authority based on their position, I would go by the last name, Mr. Maxwell or Mrs. last name, you know. But here it's all first name, first name, first name. There's still some level of respect you see between manager and basic staff or basic employer, but it's not as a result of you calling them a particular way. Back home in Nigeria, even if okay, I had my fair share of the hierarchy thing back home in Nigeria, where you see your manager coming in, you have to run to them to show that you respect them. And let me just put it out there that respect is a big part of my culture as a Nigerian, and it's a value I hold very dear. But I find that it is highly abused in the workplace, and you know, you tend to take junior staff for granted because you are of a higher age or higher position. I think that, like I said, things have evolved a bit more now, but mutual respect and engagement and communication is the way here. I am not bashing any cultures. I'm just stating differences, guys. I really hope that you get that, okay? So the next point on my list is relationships in the workplace, okay? Relationships in the workplace. I remember my first job, guys. I was vibing really well with this person during training. We were getting along well, you know, we would have lunch together, get a cup of coffee together, get a bubble tea together, you know, go out for lunch, gist, talk about things, family, children, exchange photos, you know. And, you know, in the office space, it was going really well. And I thought, oh, I've made a friend, really cool, right? And then the next morning, she just goes, hi. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I really thought that we were vibing and, you know, becoming friends. But I find that, you know, a lot of times here, from what I've seen, workplace relationships end in the workplace. Like, there's no big deal, and don't take it personal. It's so important that you don't take it personal. If you think that you're vibing with somebody on a day or 2 days, just don't have too many expectations. It's the best way to stay sane in the workplace. People come in there to focus on work. Yes, you might tend to build a few friendships, but if anything happens and you're like, I thought we were friends, don't take it personal. It might not be from a place of offense or anything. It's just the way office friendships can be. Some thrive and end up being outside of the office as well. But yeah, don't expect too much from any workplace relationships, okay? Another thing to bear in mind is when you are new in the workplace, I thought it was just me struggling to make friends because, you know, as an adult, it can be more difficult to build friendships. But what I find is that you need to make the first move sometimes. You need to make yourself, you know, make the first move if you want to have a friend in the workplace. I used to keep to myself a lot in my first job, and it just seemed like I didn't have any friends in the workplace. And I was so grateful when we had to work from home and not be in the office anymore. But what I found subsequently is that if you want to have a friend, make the first move. Say hi, say hello, you know. Maybe go around a few tables and introduce yourself. That can be a great way to build office relationships. Otherwise, nobody might walk up to you and say hello, hi, and you just feel like nobody likes you. That's not the case. Sometimes you should just make the first move if you want to meet a friend or get people to know you, or even if it's just to make acquaintance. It's okay to make the first move, and that's what I learned. Back home in Nigeria, like, people will just come up to you and say, hey, hi, you just joined us, how are you? Okay, my name is Bola. Oh, how are you? You know, and it just, you know, it's easy because, I mean, back home, you're speaking the same language, you know the same things, you know the same people, it's easier. But here, making the first move is the way to go if you want to build relationships, all right? Okay, so the next thing will be fashion and dress sense in the workplace. Man, my first job was in a corporate firm, And my expectations were that I would see people wearing suits and, pants, tailored suits, tailored dresses, shoes, But the informal style of dressing was a huge shock to me. So the laid-back lifestyle also translates into the workplace, which is not a bad thing at all. Australians are just very chilled people. I like that. I used to like really dress like, dress very corporate. Well, it took me a while to adjust to how, when they say business casual, it can mean they can come in wearing very basic stuff, very simple stuff, Yeah, and I was like, okay, this is really shocking to me. So it took me a while to, not dress as much as I used to. I still do compared to what I see, to the way I see Australians dress, but they still appear presentable, but mostly very simple, very casual, not too much effort. Nigerians put a lot of effort into the way we dress to work. Men, a lot of efforts, matching shoes, matching bag, dresses are expensive and all of that. A lot of effort into our appearance back home in Nigeria. It's not that deep for them here in Australia. It's not that deep, just look presentable and very simple. But it was a huge shock to me. Yeah, and it took a while to ease up a little on my dress style, but I still try to, show up. But yeah, not as it's not that deep for them in Australia, to be honest. That's all I can say. All right, so the next one will be the use of the word sorry. The use of the word sorry. This one I learned the hard way. The use of the word sorry. Now, sorry would mean you're apologizing for a wrong deed, something you have done wrong to a person, something that is your fault and you're apologizing for. Back home in Nigeria, the way we use the word sorry, we have abused, and pardon my use of language, bastardized the word sorry. When we want to ask for a favor, sorry, can you help me bring that book over there? Why are you sorry? If we want to ask for directions, excuse me, sorry, please, do you know the way to? We use sorry the wrong way, and I became so used to it. If I want to ask you for help, I will say sorry. If I want to ask you for clarification, I will say sorry. Sorry. Until one day, I think he was doing a team meeting or something, and a colleague, spilled some tea on her shirt, and I'm like, oh, sorry. And she goes, it's not your fault. Why are you sorry? I'm like, I'm sorry. No vex. Emma be no. Yeah, and I still had a few experiences like that where I would say sorry for the wrongest things, Just, if I want to ask a question, I'm sorry, please, do you know how we, like the use of the word sorry, we use it the wrong way in Nigeria, and I brought it here and I'm like, oh, I need to fix this. So now I try very intentionally not to say sorry, except it's something that I have done wrong. And even at that, as opposed to saying sorry, there are other ways to handle the matter. I can count the number of times I have heard Australians say sorry. Like, they don't say very frequently. In an email, and this is something to also learn in the career space, I guess, that using the word sorry, you have to be very careful so you don't seem incompetent. As opposed to using sorry, there are other things you can say, like, oh, thanks for pointing that out, or oh, good pickup. They like to say good pickup, So don't say sorry so you don't seem pathetic sometimes, so you don't seem incompetent. I learned that, and I'm glad I did, because I used to say the word sorry very unnecessarily. So guys, yeah, just simple things I've noticed here since, joining the workforce here in Australia, and I just thought to point them out there. I think that's everything, honestly, that I've covered. But the major one for me will be the fact that I really like how the hierarchy thing is almost non-existent here. It allows you be yourself. It allows you communicate. It allows you share how you really feel about things happening in the workplace. Out of here, back home in Nigeria, a lot of things are left unsaid. If you're struggling in a particular area, you can't really communicate that because of how you think your boss will perceive you. But here, there's very open communication, which I really like. And in terms of hierarchy, like I said, I know that a lot of things are really evolving now in Nigeria. So the open space style in offices is what you find everywhere here. So you might be sitting directly to your senior manager, and if you haven't met them before, you might not even know because they're just right next to you. But you know, back home there were separate offices for managers, and the managers are very, you know, yeah. So this is just stating the differences, right? This is not bashing or bad mouthing any cultural differences, but the major one for me here, which was a very good culture shock experience, like I said, is the difference between the show of power and hierarchy here and back home. That's everything I want to share. If you have enjoyed watching, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I love reading from you. Make sure to comment down there, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye guys.